what's going on, and welcome to Eclipse Theory Games, the podcast where we bring you the latest in gaming news, indie reviews, and everything else under the sun. My name is Kendall, and I'm joined by a litany of co-hosts this time, but the first is...
Tony, a.k.a. Schoolboy Cubert.
Okay, you're on a little streak with the nicknames, I'm not going to lie. The hip-hop video game nicknames, they if y'all don't know, this man has come up with a different terrible / awesome nickname every episode, and they've all been of that same quality. So just take that one and you can kind of get a feel for it. But if you're not watching on video form, you don't know who I'm talking about, we're joined by two very, very special guests today. I got the pleasure of introducing two of the dopest rappers that I know of, nerdcore legends, chip hop, you know what I mean? We have Omega Sparx in the building.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks guys for having me.
Yes, sir. We are also joined by Mega Ran.
Yo, what's good, y'all? Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me, man. It's great to be here.
Absolutely, man. I am definitely honored to have you here, man. And we are actually here courtesy of D.A.R. Media. I appreciate them for putting this together. So we also have the special guest. My man Aric is here. How you doing, man? What's going on?
Hey, very good, and honored to be on representing D.A.R. Sports Media. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. So, we got a packed house today. This is the biggest squad we've had for an Eclipse Theory Games episode so far. Definitely glad to have you guys all here. We're going to kind of switch it up. I know for the last few episodes of Eclipse Theory Games, you guys don't know this, but we've been doing like a kind of a tournament arc sort of thing. A lot of episodes where we're doing like tier lists. The last episode, we put together a death battle loadout, like our ultimate video game weapon, death battle. It was dope.
Yes. So basically the last episode was me and Kendall were dropped in an arena and we had to kill each other. So we chose our ideal loadouts from video games.
Oh, wow.
The episode before that, we drafted a football team using only video game characters.
Now that was crazy. I don't know if y'all have looked at a football team, but you got to really, really care about depth. You never looked at a fighting game roster the way we have. I'm just going to say that.
There was an old Nintendo game where it was football, but you can like kill the
Mutant Football League.
Yeah, you remember that? Yeah.
I got the remake. The remake actually wasn't too bad. I got that one on my Switch.
Okay. Interesting.
Wow.
I didn't even know there was a remake. That's kind of dope.
Yeah.
We did not steal the idea, but we've been having some pretty cool episodes. Today we're gonna kind of switch it up, take a break from that. We want to kind of just have a nice little sit down about gaming and our nostalgia for it, our history with it, what made us fall in love with the medium, because it's such a special medium. I feel like with games, if you put 5 people in a room and they have nothing in common, but 2 of them play video games, those 2 people going to end up having a conversation at some point. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a special uniting form of media. And I just kind of want to talk about our history with it and the things that made us love it so much. So I want to kind of start with a quick question for everybody. What was like the gaming experience that made you really feel like you loved this shit? Like, what was the game that really clicked everything for you? And I'll start with our guest. I don't know, Omega, you want to take it first?
So the game that like made you like fall in love with like video game music or video games in general?
Just gaming in general, like the game that really first sparked that love for you.
Oh my.
I know that's a tough question.
Yo, Miss Pac-Man, honestly. We had an Atari growing up. Me and my dad, we used to go at it, before he leave out for work in the morning. We get a couple rounds of Miss Pac-Man in, and he'd come home and I'm still playing as a kid. And I done smashed his score and everything. And so that's the first, it's not the best, but that's what put that competitive drive in me to just like go at video games.
No, that's a good one. I'm gonna say Miss Pac-Man was my arcade GOAT. That's my personal choice. Beeline for that machine.
Man, same. That was Miss Pac-Man was in my barbershop. And I think, and we would same way, we would just be fighting to get that top score. And every time we came back in there, like, oh, somebody wiped your score. Oh, somebody beat you. Let's go.
And imagine the level of trash talking a barbershop behind that.
Oh man. Yeah, it was deadly. Like I was way too young to be able to say the things we were saying in there.
Right.
But like it got so competitive, and it was Miss Pac-Man as well. on that same level of competitiveness, man. Just really came out.
Man, I love it. So, okay. So we got a shared bit of experience there. I'm not mad at it. Eric, what about you? What was like the game that really sold you on video games, essentially?
Man, for me, it was instant love affair. Like it, so I'll go straight up original NES Super Mario Brothers. The Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt combo. Was just it. I was just a video game kid from the jump. That was the first memory. And a lot of it for me when I was young was it was associated with IPs. So the Ninja Turtles arcade game, with the actress on the side that was April and the turtles all on the side, and then they ported that over to NES. That was a huge deal for me. The Batman '89, they turned that into a video game. It's a fucking super underrated video game. If you guys don't know about it, fucking loved that game. Still love it. Still fuck with it to this day. And that was like the def from the beginning. I was just in love with games. I see right there behind Mega, we got the Mega Man. That was a big deal too. I remember because I remember seeing it. My friend had it, and it just melted my brain that there was like 7 different bad guys in the game, or 8 or whatever it is in the original one, because in the Mario, you're just going against King Koopa. In Duck Hunt, it's the dog. Ninja Turtles, it's Shredder. Batman is the Joker. But in Mega Man, there was all of these different bosses, and that was just, fucking insane to me. So that was all really formative from the beginning. I was a video games kid, NES.
Yeah, same. I think Mega Man 2 was on the cover of Nintendo Power, maybe the, I don't know, 3rd or 4th issue. And I was just like, I got to get it. And reading through and seeing the maps of all the levels and how they all were so colorful. These bosses were so big. And being able to choose your own path, and your own way to finish the game was definitely something that kind of showed me what video games could be. Like, wow, you can just jump in and just do anything. Like, you didn't have to start at any particular level, so yeah, Mega Man's been such a huge part of me. I mean, it's part of my name, and it's not just that, but the music of the Mega Man games, because that was one of the first games I remember where you could pause the game and the music would keep playing. And so when I hit the pause button, boop, boop, it brought up a little menu and I could walk away. And as I was walking away, doing my chores or fixing a sandwich, you still kind of bob into the music. So I'm just like, oh man, this music is really good. Like, it just really slaps. So, and I just got the idea from there to take a recorder and sit that right by the TV, the tape recorder, and I would just tape the music from the games and then just like fill up one side of my little mixtape with video game tunes. And that was the first game that I was doing that with. And I would put like hip hop tracks on the other side, and just go to school just banging like 8-bit themes,
that was the origin. That was where Mega Ran started.
That's how it all started, man. It was just, the music was so good. And I realized when I was walking away, like, you could still hear it. It was still there. It was very catchy. And I was just like, I couldn't get enough of it.
Man, I love that, really. And that's such a specific and underrated aspect when, like, you just leave a game on pause and let the music play. We also did an episode just before, I think, the football episode, where we both made a gaming mixtape. So we had to take like 10 tracks from video games and put them in sequential order, so where it like flowed like an album, basically. And again, it was fun, but it was harder than I thought it was going to be.
That sounds really difficult.
Yeah, man, we did some work on that. I was at work for 2 hours just like sequencing it. I had the tracks all laid out, and I'm just sitting there like, this can't go first. This can't go third.
You would really think someone was going to listen to this. You know what I mean? But hey, playlist on Eclipse Theory's YouTube page if you want to go check out what we put together, man. It was pretty dope. But
nice.
That really, really speaks to the fact that, like, music really is the defining factor. I think that's what makes games. It's not the whole of what makes games nostalgic. Like, the experience is obviously very important, but music will hit you and it'll make you feel like you're playing the game. Like, I can't tell you.
It's right there. I think it's like neck and neck,
Yeah.
A great soundtrack as well as the great, game you play. Like, once you get back into the gameplay, you hear, at least to me, I hear the music that was there. So like Final Fantasy VII is another one of those games where it's like, you get to a certain point, I know what I'm supposed to be hearing, and it's like it all just starts running together. So exactly. Yeah, music, gameplay, graphics, characters, story. It's all equal to me in making like a classic.
100%. Like it's like a big melting pot. And I was gonna bring up Final Fantasy VII. I know you did like a whole album, with Final Fantasy VII Omega. I know you had the Buster Sword Cipher and everything. So y'all have a lot of history when it comes to that game and its music in particular. I've always said the thing that people don't get about what is it about Final Fantasy that makes it click so much more than other RPGs for some people? And I really think it's the music. I think it's that like sets it just a bit above other games for me personally.
Yeah.
And
it's the music. It's the fact that they're cussing in an RPG game. Just the vibe, the attitude. Steampunk, and I mean that's my favorite. I'm a big RPG head. That's my number one. It's always going to be number one. And yeah, it's the classic. I played Chrono Trigger, and then I played Final Fantasy VII. So Chrono Trigger was my first RPG, and then I played like Phantasy Star 3 and 4, and then Final Fantasy VII. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a changing of the guards over here. What's going on? So that's my
honestly such a similar experience. I know, me and Tony didn't get to our like game that kind of brought us in and everything. I know we've talked about it before, but I was very similar as an NES kid, like what I loved. But Final Fantasy VII was the one that like showed me what it could be. Like that's the game where I was like, this story is just different. Like there's a lot going on here. And I'm 8 or 9 years old playing this game, just mind absolutely blown. What it was about that particular Final Fantasy, I didn't really like high fantasy stuff when I was a kid for whatever reason. Like I was just talking to someone about the difference between nerds and geeks. And there's no disrespect to anybody, but when I was a kid, I was like, man, high fantasy is a little too geeky. I'm more of like I like sci-fi more than fantasy or whatever. And I was just an idiot because now I love that stuff. But Seven got me with his cyberpunk world, the whole aesthetic. That shit is amazing. That was probably that's the game that I've always used to kind of define my taste. That and maybe like Zelda Majora's Mask. But yeah.
Yeah, see, the Kendall say that I was the geek. My dad got me into Lord of the Rings. He got me into The Hobbit. I was into all that shit, like from a young age, But I could play basketball better than most people, so I could get by. So I was like the nerdy jock. But like I'd been playing video games since I was like 3 or 4. Like I had a Game Boy when it first came out. Lost it in the Target because it fell through a hole in my starter jacket. Was sick for months. But the first game that really like where it just clicked for me, like the gaming world is where I'm supposed to be, was Ocarina of Time. I must have played that game hundreds of times growing up, and to the point where even today I could play that game from memory, Water Temple included, and just blow through it. But that was the one that really made me feel like this is who I am. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Love that. I actually played that not too. It really is. I played it last year on the Switch because the Switch Online is pretty dope. It's not everything it could be, but it's pretty dope. Just being able to pick up and play that stuff. And man, what a game! It just holds up forever.
Yeah.
And so while we still on the topic of music, though, I mean, because I do want to get that. I wanted to get these couple questions out the way. I guess we'll start with Mega. Hip hop wise, like outside of the gaming, what really got you into music?
Hip hop wise, so I liken it to I always trace it back to the summer of like '94 to me, and this was like a very influential time for me. I mean, this is now even looking back, it was maybe like maybe this is like considered, it could be like a silver age of hip hop, beginning, because we got '88, everybody kind of considers the golden era. But man, like 92, 93, 94, you had Wu-Tang, you had Nas, you had Biggie, you had The Roots, you had Gangstar, you had so much stuff that was coming out around the same time. Tribe, De La, like everybody had found their rhythm. And I felt like, man, like hip hop was just rolling. Like there was just classic after classic. And I just remember that summer just really being like, yo, I gotta be a part of this. Like all the homies were just like, I don't know what we got to do, but let's just sit down and work on stuff. And I could say Wu-Tang probably is the most influential when it comes to it because, from that first record, from Protect Your Neck, from Inspector Deck's verse saying swinging through your town like your neighborhood Spider-Man, I was like, yo, he's one of us. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, like the stuff that we watched, they watched it and they also like reference it, Method Man, the song, all he did was just like quote cartoon stuff.
Nothing but wrestling shit.
It was
too.
nothing with straight pop culture. And we were just like, oh my God, like what is this? So knowing that somebody that was dope and cool understood that the same things we understood is what really gave me like the courage to sit down and write. So we started writing rhymes and I remember my homies being like, man, you because I think I made a reference to like a Street Fighter thing or something in that. I was like, Sonic Boom, like Gal, that's my style or something like that. And he was like, that's kind of nerdy, don't you think? And I was like, what you mean? Like, listen to this, so it was me kind of trying to open the eyes of the people around me because I was like, man, what Wu-Tang is doing this, doing this and this kung fu and it's all these other things that we used to love, so that was what gave me the courage to kind of do what I did, and of course, but yeah, like just in addition to all the other great music that was coming out around that time for me. So yeah, like by 94, I think it hit like a critical mass where there was just like classic after classic coming.
Yeah.
So, Omega, what about you?
Yeah, what Tony Hawk Underground. That's what did it for me. I used to pause the game and just listen to the jukebox. Cannibal Ox, LA Symphony, Nas. That soundtrack did something to me growing up. Like I cherish that game for its soundtrack. And it hit even harder than John Madden. They eventually used to have licensed music for their soundtracks, but this one was special. Like I still need to find who put together like the hip hop portion of that soundtrack for that game. That it had a profound effect on me and the possibility of music in gaming and then hip hop music in gaming. That was the first spark for me. Like wow, and that's years before I even picked up a mic. I was just like, man, it's amazing. So.
Yeah, they were really ahead of their time with those soundtracks, like being able to turn on and hear Public Enemy and then Goldfinger and all types of stuff in the same like moment was so big for kids who were raised on hip hop culture and also who weren't, who were raised in skater culture, and realizing that these things could coexist. Like that, those soundtracks really did become a lot of people's like gateway into finding their purpose and their place, as far as the music that they really loved.
So black folks love Tony Hawk to this day because of them games.
That's right.
Facts.
Listen, Tony Hawk actually introduced me to Del the Funky Homo Sapien. That's like the best thing in that series. My God, yep.
Yeah.
That song still plays in my head every now and then, just for whatever reason. I guess in the mornings when I'm getting ready, it helps me remember to wash my ass and all that good stuff.
If you must.
Yes, sir. But no, those licensed soundtracks are actually really, really important. I think Tony Hawk might be, among the goats of that. But you have your 2Ks, your Maddens. There are some that are pretty underrated. I want to shout out Grand Theft Auto in that conversation.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, man!
An entire radio station.
I found out about Kendrick Lamar from Grand Theft Auto.
Oh wow!
It was ADHD. I was like, who is this? Who is this? And then I found out later it's Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, they'll do that, man. Like they have. I didn't even realize. I think GTA 5 had an entire like Frank Ocean station. I'm like, man, that's so you can't get Frank Ocean to show up for a picture. Y'all got this man that cultivated a radio station for you. That's crazy. But I appreciated San Andreas. I appreciated GTA 4 for the hip hop stations and everything. But it was GTA Vice City that gave me a love for 80s music that holds to this day. I was born in 1990. I don't know nothing about the damn 80s. Not a goddamn thing. I will rock to all of that soundtrack. Like I was born and raised in that era. It's crazy.
That's dope.
I seen him in the pastel suit before.
You
It was
have.
real.
You have.
Then Grand Theft Auto 3, shout out to the legend, Sean Price. That joint,
Yeah.
classic
Yes,
on Grand Theft Auto 3.
Yeah.
And-
Let's not forget Guru doing the voice of the cat in the game. So like they were instantly like tapped in with hip hop culture like from the beginning.
And that's like really tapped in. You know what I mean? Those aren't like your everyday artists that you pull off the street. That's like we love hip hop and we want to make sure these get some props, you know. Even pulling in like MC8 to play Ryder in San Andreas was crazy. Like that's crazy. And perfect. It really worked so perfectly.
Perfect. Yeah.
Man,
That's funny. I used to do these chats, and I still do once in a while about hip hop and video games and how they come together in different places. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And in the beginning, it was a lot of like just trying to cash in, like, all right, hip hop is this fad seems to be working out. Let's make a breakdance game for Commodore 64, you know.
Right.
But and then to moving into like really reflecting hip hop culture throughout gaming. So there's so many really good meetings and times where they've come together. And I just want to ask everybody here's opinion on one particular game that brought together hip hop culture and gaming in the most profound way for me. And it's for the PlayStation. I'm talking about Parappa the Rapper.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
The frog stage, oh man, that was wake up in early morning. That was
a vibe.
Yo, they had some bangers on that thing, man. Like, you know, it's like you could really tell, like, yo, somebody here was like ahead. Like they really, really appreciated this, man.
Yeah, like
love it.
I put so much time in the demo disc for it. Because
Yes,
I couldn't get my parents to buy it.
Rapper demo disc.
Yeah. I couldn't get my parents to buy it for me. So I got a demo disc out of a Game Pro magazine and just played that for hours.
Man, that's how it was back then. Then those demos were important, man. Some of my favorite games I ain't never played, you know. But Parappa in particular, man, like how much time do y'all have? There's like 6 songs in that game, and I can talk for an hour about just how dope Parappa the Rapper was. Yeah. I feel like it didn't get it's like a cult classic, right? But it's a rhythm game.
Yeah,
like
coming back around.
Why is there no more Parappas? I know Parappa the Rapper 2 wasn't well received or whatever, but that first game was really special.
First game was great, man. And like I remember they tried to do like a spiritual successor. Some of the producers, they went to Kickstarter and like they didn't get it. It was I feel like I don't know if maybe they just didn't reach the right audience, but there were a lot of people who just were not really like all about it, but they were asking for a lot, like maybe like $500,000 or something crazy.
That'll do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Man,
like,
how bad do I really want it?
right. Not about to be a $70 patron, but I really appreciate what the game was. It kind of exists in a moment in time. Like that was a 90s ass video game, so I'm not mad at it. And blending hip hop and video games is always a really unique one. I want to know if anybody here played Mark Echo's Getting Up. Did any of y'all try that game? Because that game it shouldn't have been as good as it was. I don't know what it was about that game, but it was actually really fun.
Yeah, I played it much later. I remember people talking about it. Like, again, I was doing these panels and somebody would come up and bring it up. Like, dude, you really got to play it. So I started playing it later. Doesn't like Talib Kweli play the main character or something like that? And
Mark Echo had a weird stranglehold on gaming culture in that like 2000 to 2002 era. Like he had a whole team on a Madden game.
Wow.
Strange times.
That is crazy.
It was very strange.
But no, it was a surprisingly good game. I like when games incorporate like graffiti culture because there's different avenues of hip hop to kind of incorporate. You know, you get things like Jet Set Radio.
Yeah, that was my joint. Yeah, Jet Set.
You know, and it didn't lean so much into hip hop as much as like maybe like electronic music and that sort of vibe, but it still has flavors and you know, hip hop is universal. It like spreads and impacts so many different genres. that there was a little bit of that in there. Like you don't get graffiti if you're not tied into the culture a little bit, right?
Yeah.
On that note, shout out to Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. I can't wait for that game. This must be like the 5th episode we talked about it, but
For real. Do they have a date or anything? Like, man, they just get me so excited every time I look at that.
Yeah, they just announced the date. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say September. Don't quote me on this, but I think there's a date out there. Might have to look that up for you.
Okay. You know what I just started playing, which gives me some of those vibes too, is Hi-Fi Rush. Oh man, that's a beautiful, beautiful game, man. Just great dialogue, great music. You know, I'm not usually in the rhythm, but like adding rhythm to an action game with an awesome soundtrack, and man, they did a great job with it.
They really did. That game is in some game of the year conversations, you know.
That's what I keep hearing. I've been struggling to get some time to play it, but everything I've ever heard about it has been nothing but positive.
It's beautiful, man. Like that's one game that I try to make time to play. Like it's a long game. It's not short, you know, but you'll put some time in. So I was playing it for like an hour a day after work or whatever, or right before I went to bed, you know, just to get a little time in. But yeah, it's very well done.
Man, I think it's the fact that it just came out of nowhere. And again, we're talking about nostalgia. Games like that aren't really as prevalent as they used to be. You know, even just speaking of platformers in general, like 3D platformers even more so. But for it to be a rhythm game, for it to be a game with the vibe of maybe a Ratchet and Clank, that style of humor, you know what I mean? It's just a game that knows what it is. And it just does everything with such confidence that you got to appreciate and respect it.
Yeah, I love that the care they took with music in it. Like they made they made 2 separate soundtracks for it. So they were like, we can have one version that's licensed music that we've paid for, and then if you're playing it on Twitch and you're worried about these like things coming up as far as like copyright violations, you can flip a switch and original music will pop up, and it's all in the same tempo as the originals were. And things like that. And it's like, I was like, that's a really cool thought. Like, so it literally has 2 soundtracks, which is really dope.
Man, I feel like that's the future. Like, that's going to have to be something that other games should jump on board, especially with Twitch right now. It's kind of crazy with the monetization, but shout out to them for just putting that much care into a game that's in a genre that they haven't dabbled in before. They make horror games before this. So
yeah,
really dope stuff. Really dope.
Rush Cyberpunk. August 18th on PC and Switch, September 1st on Xbox and PlayStation. So we got 5 days.
Literally on Friday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, isn't that a Mortal Kombat Day too? Or is that just the preview if you pre-ordered?
Yeah, I think it's the pre-order day.
Oh, okay.
Gentlemen, listen, let me tell you, we are about to all be broke. Like this whole
about to be, bro. I'm broke now.
About to be. Yeah, I'm already broke.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, it's crazy. I mean, we're in a literal renaissance right now. Like, I hope that people look back on this time and write books about it. Like, we are in a gaming renaissance, and it's like one of the most awesome times to be a gamer in history, which is crazy. Like, all these great classic fighting game franchises are back and dope. Like, it's just an insane time right now to be a gamer.
Listen, real quick, I just want to get like 4 episodes ago or something like that. I asked the question, is this the best period in games ever? And you know, the question was not like laughed out the room, you know what I mean? But I feel like it was more controversial before like we started to see this bang, bang, bang influx of just game after game, and we're not done. You know, we got Spider-Man.
We're not done. This is ridiculous. I think
Starfield.
when you say ever, it gets a little tough because you're like, all right, well, now I got to think back to some other amazing times, and moments that, like, to me, one thing I didn't get to say about Final Fantasy VII, I think what makes it so great and eternal is that it was like the thriller of video games, because it hit right when the technology allowed it to exist. Because 2 years earlier, it wouldn't have hit like that. We weren't able to do 3D full, you know, rendered graphics in a game like that. So it hit at the right time. If that game came out looking like FF6, I don't know if it would be as special. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to 6, because 6 is phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? 6 is everything that 7 is, except, you know, monster graphics, you know?
Right.
So when you put all those things together, that's why I say it was like the thriller. It was like the zeitgeist moment where the world could actually handle it. So that's what makes it so special. And like, I don't know if there's other times like that, but, you know, Ocarina of Time is another one. Like, because it hit at a moment where we didn't think this was possible, it makes it so great. Now, like, great graphics is not enough, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, if you can make phenomenal gameplay moments happen now, you kind of do have to work a little harder now to make moments like that. So it's not that crazy of a thought, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I mean, no, my bad.
No, excuse me. I was like, PlayStation 1, that first run, that first batch of games that came out, like, was it Warhawk and Tekken 2, and
Battle Arena Toshinden.
That was a Battle Arena yeah. That was a glorious run when PlayStation 1 first came out. That was, to me, that was a great time,
That was a moment. Yeah, we were just like, wait, what? Like, I remember seeing Wipeout and all that stuff and being like, what? I didn't know games could do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember being blown away, except the sports games. I was like, NBA Live looked trash. So I'm sticking with Genesis.
Yeah. The early lives was not that wasn't it.
No, they was not good.
Rough times.
Yo, you know what's funny is that since this is be the 23rd episode of this podcast, and since we've started, there's been an in joke between me and Kendall where, as y'all can see behind me, I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. And there's always a Michael Jackson reference that I make at some point.
And you didn't even have to do it this time.
And I didn't do it this time. So I appreciate you, Megan.
We may not have missed an episode. That's kind of crazy.
Wow.
I appreciate
that.
That's
wow. I'm glad that I was the one to do it.
Yes,
I'll stand on that. I'll stand on that. That FF7 might be the thriller of video games. I can stand on that.
Man, it was a statement where when you said it, I had to think about it, but I never would have argued. I would never argue.
It makes complete and total sense.
I mean, because you'll hear Die-Hard music heads be like, you know what? Thriller wasn't Mike's best album, but it was banger after banger after banger, at a time where the world needed it. So that's really what the making of a classic is.
100%. And I feel like it's funny because Final Fantasy had multiple moments like that. Like 7 had 6 was like a classic for those who knew, you know what I mean? That was a moment in and of itself. 7 was, we're moving to PlayStation. We're moving to the next, generation of consoles. We have 3D graphics. Like we said on another episode talking about this. Those graphics might look crazy now, but that's legitimately, like, when you look at a 16-bit pixelated person, you kind of pick, like, if you go 3D, what does this look like in 3D before you've seen 3D graphics? It looks like Final Fantasy 7 in your head, like that same thing, but blockier and like just with some substance to it. And it was mind-blowing at the time. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to, mind you, 7, 8, 9, and 10, I believe were yearly, which is nuts in and of itself. 10 was the thing that really, really sold me on a PS2. Like, I remember watching, I got into wrestling because of Final Fantasy X. I've told this story too, but the commercial used to come on every episode of SmackDown. So I would never miss SmackDown because I just wanted to hear that Square Enix ding and like watch it. As soon as I heard that, my attention is just perked up. Like, I'm all in on the TV for 40 seconds watching this trailer.
Wow. That's crazy. Time. Yeah, man, those games were like system sellers for a minute, I mean, they even did it. What was it for the PS3? They started running the tech demos of FF7 just to kind of sell the new system. Like, look what it could do.
That's how we got all that remake talk. It took us this long to get there.
It took that long. Yeah. Man, I was like 10 years in the making of more.
It was worth the wait, though.
Definitely worth the wait. Yes, they've delivered. I still don't think we're going to get that thing completed in our lifetime. But even if we don't, I don't care. Like, I'm cool. Just give us a little piece every year or two. Give us a little piece.
I don't know. I feel like I'm of two minds because, the second one's coming out pretty soon. So we're at least getting the second part of 3. If they start deciding they want to go further than 3 entries, then no, we're not finishing this thing. But if they stick with their plan, if they have a vision, which I'm just hoping and trusting in our God Square Enix that they have a vision. If they stick with it, I think that they can make this a really special experience. Like these 3 games.
I just don't want them to rush it, all right, well, we got to do it and we got to make this money. Like, like, or shorten, just shorten the experience or cheapen it in any way. Like,
Right.
nah, because we used to hear the rumors and we're like, man, for them to pre-render or to make all these rendered graphics like real, it'll take 10 years. Like, I remember just reading all that stuff and being like, all right, so this game just can't happen in our lifetime, but they've been able to do it.
My daughter will be in college before we done with this.
Hey, listen, you know what to get her to go, go play with while she's studying.
Look, she gonna be picking up the stick soon enough.
Oh yeah. I got my niece playing Mario Kart. She did not come in first, but she played Mario Kart. It was fun times.
I just want to jump in real quick because y'all
I
talking
got
about kids playing video games. So
There he is.
I gotta jump in.
Yes,
I
sir,
gotta jump in.
we got my man True God from D.A.R. Media here. What's up,
True
True?
God, what's up?
What's good, brothers? What's good, brothers? I already know Peagle gonna have his daughter definitely picking up the stick. My daughter is a heavy Nintendo Switch fan. Oh, she can whoop my ass on Mario Kart. She is a big Zelda fan. I just got her a Demon Slayer video game and a Demon Slayer backpack for school. She is into Final Fantasy. She's played a little bit too. She is like all the games that like we kind of grew up loving. She is extremely into those, and it baffles me because my thought process is how, like
Right.
like she was a huge Sonic fan. Like Sonic was like her thing, and Power Rangers. She was into, and she played every single game that's came out from Sonic, Mario, Power Rangers. She's played all of those, and I know it's not that many Power Ranger games that have been out. So it's just watching the next generation of a gamer, gamers come along. It's like my baby just turned 11, so she is she wants to do like Twitch streaming and stuff. I'm not letting that happen. Not letting that happen. No, that's not happening. But it's just crazy. I'm listening to y'all talk about it. And I just want to chime in on that because it's like all of these games, and I agree. I actually agree with Kendall when he said about like the best time for like gaming, because I think there's something for everyone, and I think people are also unabashedly open and honest now. I think about what they like gaming wise, because there's a long time where I think people like gamers were kind of separated, like a little bit. It's even something to the effect of like when they used to say women used to get mad at us for playing video games. They used to get mad at you for being on the game too long or not giving them attention. Well, maybe that's your reality, brother. Maybe that's your reality, brother. If it is, I'm sorry about that. But just look, in my world, like I said, my daughter's mother is an avid gamer. She's a Twitch streamer herself, so she loves gaming, and I've never had to. And then like most of the girls that I know are avid gamers too, and it's such a different, it's such a different from growing up being in high school, and we get out of school, go back and play games, and play on the games. And like one of my best friends, he used to play like Xenosaga and shit like that. And I'll be honest, I knew nothing about any of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was Madden, Grand Theft Auto, anything I could shoot, beat people up. That's what I was on.
Like
that was young True. That was young True. I just take your aggression out. But
Growth.
now, like I said, now I just feel like there's so many different games, so many different styles. I think people are a lot more open to like try these different games out, and there's a lot more free games too.
Yeah.
We never had that coming up. Like we have
true.
never had it.
Would have been cool.
Yeah, like like I remember I was at a flea market yesterday, and it took me back to like when you were a kid and it was like Sega, Super Nintendo, and you used to have to wait for Christmas usually or your birthday to get a game. Now I can go on the eShop and get a game for $5.
Right.
Get and the game could actually be fun, could actually be exciting. And then we still have all the retro stuff, like the the PlayStation retro and the Nintendos and stuff, and like it's like a bridging of the gap of every generation with gaming now. And I think that's what makes it. I think for me that's what makes it so special, is that it's like there's no, like in music, right? Like I'll use a music reference. Like in music, we tend to like try to shit on things of the past or act like, nostalgia is the only thing that drives certain things from being good. Whereas games from back in the day, people are going back and buying these old systems. People are playing them again. People are playing the new games. Like there's there's no disrespect, at least that I don't see. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
In the gaming community, to classics, I don't hear that a lot. And
Oh
I
no,
think,
because we ain't having it.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, there's a reverence
Nah,
in
we ain't having
gaming.
that.
Like, gamers are so they're a little too adherent to the past, if anything. but yeah, no,
Yeah,
I definitely
I've
agree.
heard that argument too, that a lot of developers are a little bit afraid to kind of step out because we want a Grand Theft Auto style game,
Right.
or we
Yeah.
want a Elden Ring style game or whatever. So people just kind of create games that work in that way, because if you try to be a little too creative, people can they might shit on it or just not play it,
Right. And that's where I think it's dope. Like True was saying, like with subscription services, with early access, things like that, you get a lot more. We preach here at Eclipse Day that we love weird shit. Like, give us more weird games. Make the crazy, like, apocalyptic farming simulator that you got in your heart and soul. You know what I mean?
We big on indies, man.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, that's the realm where I think you start to get different type of stuff. And indies are, you can have an indie game like we were talking about, like become like huge to where it's in the game of the year conversation. I don't know if you consider. I think Hi-Fi Rush was made by Tango DreamWorks, which is under Bethesda, so they're not indie, but those types of vibes. A game that comes out of nowhere with no fanfare, released the day it was announced. That's why stuff like Celeste and Stardew Valley and all these other indie games can pop while we still playing all the Final Fantasies and God of Wars and stuff. And that makes it a pretty special era for sure. For sure. Now, I got nostalgia for all that other stuff too. Like, don't get me wrong, but this year has just been crazy. I'm just broke, so that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, for real. This has been quite a year, man. We just talk about Final Fantasy all this time. Like, I haven't even played 16 yet, and everybody says it's so great. And I'm like, man, I just got Diablo. Like, I just got this, I got that. Like, come on, like, it's too much right now.
This whole year needs to relax. Just give me a second to breathe, because I haven't even touched Diablo.
Me neither. But
it's too much. I got about Lord, I got about 10 hours in Final Fantasy 16, and as soon as Baldur's Gate 3 came out, I just put it down.
Yep.
I'm playing through that now, but then I got the Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty coming out in September. I'm like, man, it's so much.
They hurting us this year, man. They hurting us this year.
I'm gonna be real. I've played, I played Final Fantasy 16. I love Zelda. I still want Jedi Survivor. I'm scared of Baldur's Gate. I fear that game.
Dog.
That's legit though.
God,
I bought the game 3 years ago, so I was one of the guys that played through the 9 patches, and everything. But to actually experience the game after 3 years of playing the first act, I'm like, okay, yeah, they had a lot just waiting, just developing, you know what I'm saying? And I'm enjoying the heck out of Baldur's Gate 3 right now. And that's from someone that's actually played it for the past 3 years. It was pretty cool how they did it.
Right.
So
that says a lot about the quality of the game. You can play for 3 years and then get that full experience and it's still into it.
I got burned out.
Yeah.
I got burned out. I ain't played through all the patches. I was like, I'm gonna skip this one. I'm ready for the game to come out. So I did get burned out a little bit, but I let it sit. I let it marinate for like 6 months. Like, I'm not even gonna play this last patch because I know the game is dropping finally. And yeah, like actually playing the full experience, I'm like, yeah, this was worth the wait.
Yeah, wow. That's what I've been hearing about it. It looks crazy. The level of choice might be like the craziest in any game I've ever seen. And that speaks to the benefits of early access. Like, it's not just, to try stuff that you might not try or like demo games, but that Miyamoto quote where he's like, if you rush a game, it's bad forever. It's not necessarily true anymore because you can drop a game and like continue to work on it as time goes on, patch it and upgrade it. We used to hate day one patches. Some people still do hate day one patches. I'm like, that's awesome. You can fix this shit. Fix it.
Yeah.
Why
Right.
not?
Why would you not fix it if you can? You
I
know?
paid $70 for this. Absolutely fix it.
Exactly.
I've become a big fan in the modern time of, a game will drop and everybody will be excited. And I said, man, brother, I'll get it in 3 years when the finished product is out and it's $9 because it's so true. Like almost every major release now, it drops and then they roll through the patches and actually take care of it. From what I've been told, Cyberpunk's like a completely different experience now than the day it dropped.
It absolutely is.
That's obviously the most extreme version of it, so I don't want to make a bad faith argument, but I have been known to say that a lot. Like these new, because if I'm not doing sports personally, I'm doing major AAA RPG. Like that's my stuff, and especially for those type of games where you have such massive worlds.
Yeah.
When they come out, I just tell my buddies, hey man, I'll buy it in a couple years when it's the finished version is out and it only costs $8.
You're a smart man for that.
That's
I'll
smart.
tell you
Yeah.
that.
If you can be patient. Yeah, today, if you can be patient enough, man, it's just people want that stuff the first day. But yeah, if you can be patient enough, you can get any game you want for the amount you want.
Another thing about me in those games too, and my friends kind of I have a buddy actually who has a master's in game development.
Nice.
So he's my gaming guy that I bounce stuff off of. And he's always on my ass about, you got to try this game. You got to try this game. You got to try this game. And I'm the way I am wired as a person, and it might be a personality flaw, is that anything that I'm into, I get down to the roots, man. Can we cuss on this podcast?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
I get down to the fucking roots, man. Like I know everything about the game. I know every single move, every single button mapping is like second nature. I could do it in my sleep. So, there's Witcher 3. I've probably spent 600 hours in that game. Right now, before I hopped on this podcast, I'm doing my 4th playthrough of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the full all DLC, the full map, everything. Stuff like that. So like if I'm going to take on something new where I have to learn new stuff, like it's a full commitment. And so that's kind of what holds me back. Like, okay, the game needs to be finished. Okay, the game needs to be $9. All right, I guess I'll go for it. Like, but that's how I can be patient, is because I play these games to absolute death until it's time to go ahead and jump into something new. So yeah.
I respect it, man. Honestly, you see a new game coming out, like, nah, I don't need a new job right now. Sorry, I'm past.
The Star Wars game, I was close. That was the closest I've gotten to like, okay, I'm gonna take the plunge on something new. Was that Star Wars looked real damn good. And I've heard it's really good.
Me too.
Probably talk to me end of next year. I'll probably have it.
And then there's the rest of us who have backlogs a mile long. Like me.
Yeah, for real. I need to learn to be a lot more like you, man. I just I gotta get it, and then I just never open it, never install it. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yep, I'm right there with you guys.
I want to focus on kind of what you two have been up to, Omega. I know you working on a comic book right now, man. What's going on with that?
Oh, it's like a dream come true. So shout out to my boy Swats. So me and my boy Swats, we created 3 video game inspired albums together. And every single album cover, we had a new artist create a caricature of us. And the last one we did, Game Breakers Volume 3, that we released in 2020, it was just really dope. So I was like, man, let me turn this into a comic book. And we just got to talking, and, things come around full circle. A good friend of ours, Ethan, with Echelon Graphics, Echelon Novels. One of my college buddies moved out to LA. I'm in North Carolina, moved out to LA, started a comic book company. We reconnected. Like, me and my crew would love to, bring your comic book to life. And, we're here now, and it's in his first comic book shop. It just sold out. The first batch just sold out. We got a Kickstarter, to help with issue 2. And it's great, but it's blending, the culture of hip hop and comic books, like just a fresh take on things, where, the microphone is like our lightsaber, you know what I'm saying? We gotta call out stuff to, to bring out the super moves and stuff. Pokemon tournament style, So yeah, it's fun, it's fresh, and I'm loving it.
It's dope. I saw you tweet about it a couple hours ago. I retweeted it. I was looking at the artwork, man. It looks incredible.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah, we got about 6 more days on the Kickstarter, and you know, shout out to my boy Mega Ran, gave me some great words of wisdom, some great nuggets of knowledge, and this was my first time jumping on Kickstarter. Like, oh, you know, sometimes you know, like you're scared. I was like, man, let's try it. Let's just see what's up. And you know, we done hit our first goal, and it's fun, man. It's really fun.
6 days on the Kickstarter. I get paid on Tuesday. I'm gonna throw something on that.
I
Oh,
appreciate
There you
that.
go, man.
yeah, get on
Man,
that.
that's awesome. Love that.
Mega, what you got going on with you?
Oh man, I just finished my first children's album, which is pretty crazy. I'm a new father. I just
Mhm.
during
Congrats.
I guess
Congrats,
right
man.
after pandemic, we adopted.
Nice.
And this kid
Nice.
has been awesome, and he's really like changed my world. So it's just got me like refocused and you know in a whole new way, and listened to a ton of children's music. And I was like, ah man, you know some of this stuff's pretty good. Some of this stuff, I don't know. And so I was like, we need to work on something. So I started working on new music that would, you know, be for parents, but as well as for kids that would, you know, that would hopefully teach them something and give them some good beats to rock to. So I just finished it. We did a release event just this past weekend at the Musical Instrument Museum here in Phoenix. And it was just a really awesome weekend of hip hop celebration with it being the 50-year anniversary. And just being a part of that was really dope. Got to bring a bunch of kids on stage to rock out with us and you know play instruments and play along, and it's just been a really cool moment. So this album comes out September 15th, so you can pre-save it now. Just really excited. Got a couple really fun videos that I'm working on for it, and yeah, it's just been like it's changed my focus completely. Like as a guy who was already making you know what people consider nerdcore, like nerdy stuff that's based on pop culture and all the stuff we grew up with. But to take a kind of directional change with this has been like super fun. And so yeah, that's my whole focus now. It's like, you know, I want to make music that my kid can be proud of and hear and pull something out of, you know, and that's what I'm doing right now. So the record's called Buddy's Magic Toy Box, and it's coming very soon. First single we put out this past weekend, The Story of Rap. It's a fun little nursery rhyme type song about the birth of hip hop and how it all happened, you know. So real proud of it. And so far as it's doing really well. So I just I'm gonna just keep going with that.
That's amazing.
That's dope. I'm gonna need
Yeah.
that because Sesame Street starting to get a little old, man.
I got you.
I'm sick of Elmo, baby girl wearing me out.
Absolutely, man. Definitely
So
gotta teach the next gen.
I got one other question for Mega Ran. Kendall, I don't know if you got anything else, but one other question because this song, for a while since I heard it, I have been stopping myself from screaming the first line, like just at random. Tractor beam.
Ah,
Where did that idea come from? Because I saw
oh
your
man.
Bandcamp. You said it was like the scariest song you'd ever written.
Oh, no question. Yeah, man. Tractor Beam was maybe during pandemic, maybe it kind of came to me. And what was so scary is that it came so fast. Like I was driving to the studio. So I wasn't like sitting in a writing session or anything like that. It was just like Tractor Beam, come back to me, think satisfactory. Okay, all right. And like it just was there. The chorus just hit me and it came so fast. And like I've always been of the mind, like as an English major, where like your first draft is probably trash. So don't get so excited about it, you know. But in music, we call it demoitis. Like the moment you hear that first thing, you in love with it. So I didn't know if it was good or not because I was in love with it, and it came to me in 2.2 seconds, and I was like, this can't be good. And so I went in the studio, put it down, and my engineer was like, "Oh my god, you got a hit, bro!" Like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "No, man, this is fire. Like, how long you been working on this?" I was like, just about an hour ago, it just came to me in the car. And he's like, yo, this is insane. And so that really encouraged me to keep working on it. And it's the first record that I produced completely start to finish. Like I started with a little 4 on the floor drum pattern and started singing it to that. and then we just were able to like flesh it out into something really cool. And it's really the first time that's ever happened. Like I was just like, how, like all the music I've been writing in my life, like it's never come to me this fast, where it all was from my brain, like normally I'm bringing other people, we're helping each other out. And I was like, I don't know. So you get these moments where you kind of doubting yourself, And so when I let the other people hear it, they were just like, man, this is it. Like, this is special. And then like for Kevin Smith to hear it and want to use it in his movie, Clerks 3 was a huge moment, and it helped me to learn to trust myself a little bit, and I like the record, man. Even if I have to sing it the rest of my life, I will not mind, because people come up to me like, yo, this sounds like a wedding jam. Like, this sounds like something that, it brings people together, and I was like, oh man, thanks. So I don't know. I stumbled onto something, and it's been a real special ride with it for sure.
Oh, I love that shit. And you just gave me hope, because I got my degree in English and I've been feeling like that's the most useless degree you can possibly get. But you doing good with it, so I feel a little better about it.
I be saying stuff sometimes, like I'll be like, man, I'm not even using my degree. Oh, no. And it's like, wait, aren't you an English major? Like, yeah. Like, don't you write words for a living? I'm like, yeah, but like I don't think about it all the time. But you're using it every day. You know what I'm saying? English major, you're using it every single day.
That's fun.
That is absolutely true, man. Nah, that's amazing. I love that. And sometimes, art just kind of comes to you, right? Like that's how it's supposed to happen. So
yeah,
really,
sometimes it's just a special thing. That's the special thing about music, man. It's just, like it can come to 100 different people, 100 different ways, so
sure.
It's just pretty crazy. Like me thinking I got my workflow down, knowing I've been making music for 15, 20 years. I know what I'm doing, and this is the way I do it. And then something just comes and flips the whole thing upside down. And I'm just like, wait, what do I do now? You know what I'm saying? So that's really awesome. It just kind of shows me like how powerful music can be.
For sure, man. And that's why you can't put people in a box. You never know what they might pop out with. So,
yeah,
man, definitely, absolutely cannot wait to see what's next from you guys. Feels like a great place to kind of bring things to a close. But before we go, I want to make sure we get everybody a little moment to tell people where we can find you. So I guess we'll start with Mega, since you just had, that combo. Where can people kind of keep up with what you got going on?
Okay, word. Megaran.com is where, it's kind of a hub for where everything goes. Megaranmerch.com is where merch is. Megaran Music is where, if you specifically go to like my Bandcamp, if you want to support and grab songs that I'll occasionally throw up. I'm everywhere, man. YouTube, Insta, Twitter, X, whatever. I'll be
Twitter.
Xing. I don't know.
Twitter. We be tweeting.
We still Twitter over here.
I make jokes all the time. People are like, yo, man, we moving on to blue sky. We out. Man, ain't nobody going nowhere, man.
Look, man, we too locked in. People need to stop faking. We
are locked in. Like,
stop.
I went to blue sky for a day, and all they over there talking about is how much Twitter sucks. And I'm like, all right, man. Y'all know y'all want to be over in Twitter. Stop playing.
Hey,
we all hate the lunch lady, but we got to go to school. It is what it is.
You got to go, but we can still hate who runs it. Like, it's literally like everything else in our lives. We go to a job we hate. We go to, you know what I'm saying? We spend money with Amazon. We hate, like, it's just what it is, man.
Nice. Nice.
Oh yeah, and so yeah, Megaran.com is mostly where everything is. Yeah, catch all my good stuff there. I'm also on Patreon. I do 2 songs a month there that are usually available nowhere else. Sometimes you get demos, sometimes you get early drafts of like songs, skits, whatever's going on. And I'm on Twitch like 4 days a week playing video games or just chatting. So yeah, come holler at me there too.
Good stuff, man. Absolutely. And Omega Sparx, what about you? Where can people keep up with you?
Yeah, everywhere. Omega Sparx, omegasparx.com. I have a album I dropped in June, Overdrive, video game based, just showing love to like the Street Fighter franchise. So Overdrive album.com, you can go over there, and and then we don't have a website yet for the comic book, but that's coming soon as well. And so that's where you can find some of my stuff.
Love to hear, man. Absolutely. And don't forget, that Kickstarter. We got to make sure we get that support going too.
Yeah, we on it. We on it.
For the love.
Yes, sir.
Love.
Yeah, man. Aric, what about you? How can people keep up with you?
Woo! All right, let's give her the rundown. Peagles,
Yes, sir.
MNC VKG is me on Twitter, but more importantly, D.A.R Sports Media on Twitter. We have and also definearevolution.com. We have the D.A.R Sports Media podcast feed where we do truly sports and media. We've done just about it all. We have a wrestling show. We cover the NFL. We cover the NBA. We've done a nostalgia hour on various subjects. We just got done doing one on soundtracks and the significance that they used to have in all of culture back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. That'll be out Tuesday. We did a hip hop culture crossover episode where we talked about hip hop culture's influence mostly in the 90s on video games, movies, TV, and also professional sports. DefineArevolution.com has a lot of the same stuff, articles written on all of these same subjects. The NBA, we have an Oppenheimer review up. So we really cover all the bases that you could ever want. And I need everybody on this podcast needs to be on our podcasts more often because all of you are
100%.
excellent. I've been on our mogul over there, True God, who was on a little bit earlier on. I've been on him like, hey man, you need to get
I'm still
Omega
here.
on there again. You
I'm
need to
still
get.
here. I'm still here, brother.
I was getting to the album plug next, man. I was gonna make you proud.
No, I got it.
I've been
I
on
got
his
it.
ass. I've been on his ass about getting all of you guys back on there because you're all excellent and can definitely contribute to those kind of stuff. I'll let True plug his own album since he's perched over in there in the corner listening.
Oh no, nah. I knew I was gonna miss most of this. You know what I'm saying? Dad stuff going on. But nah, man. First and foremost, I just want to quickly jump in and say I agree with people. Tractor Beam is fire. I've had the pleasure of hearing it live once. I missed it last week, but CP time. CP time, it happens. But more importantly than anything for me, not only could you check out obviously the amazing Omega Sparx and Mega Ran on their own platforms, but you can actually check them out on my album Comeback Trail, which is out right now, and we have an amazing record with Anthony King on it as well. Shout out to Anthony King, who will be on our podcast as well soon. Called Roundtable. It's one of them joints, man. Actually, Ant put out his verse. He put out his verse on Twitter earlier today, and to let people hear it. But man, it's a monster. Obviously, like I said, Comeback Trail is out right now. Got a lot of joints on there. I actually got SWATs on there as well. Got Cut Right. Got Equip Music. It's so many people that I got to work with on this album. It's different for me because I'm usually in house with the crew. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my brother Apollo. And Pegs and Shaggy too. But this was a different album for me, so make sure y'all check that out. Of course, y'all can find me at D.A.R True God on Twitter. D.A.R Sports Media is the main account for everything that we do. Like Aric said, he's plugging everything. We got some other stuff coming up next month. Hopefully, next month is an even bigger month for us in terms of guests and stuff like that. I'm working on some stuff there, but we definitely, while we're here, Kendall, got to bring you over to the pod, for sure. And Mega, absolutely gotta get you on, especially this hip hop thing, man. This hip hop thing, I got to get you and Omega on so we could talk this hip hop thing. You know what I'm saying? We all veterans in this thing, so definitely want to get y'all on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm down.
Yes, sir.
I think that's everything. I mean, so you'll probably hear more of myself, Mega, and Omega on a project in the near future as well. I guess I could talk about it because like some of us have shot videos for it. We have a cipher that we've done all together, which I think is amazing. I think it's one of those things that hip hop is the essence. Hip hop just turned 50. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop just turned 50. So like I said, we just a couple of the artists keeping this thing moving, keeping this thing alive. So D.A.R Sports Media, we making moves. That's all I got. I usually have more to plug.
We're available on Podbean, Spotify, True FM, all those good places you find your podcasts.
Facts.
Love to hear, man. And yeah, I missed the last cipher that I was invited to. I'm not missing the next one. We definitely got to make that happen as well as the podcast for sure, man. For
No,
sure.
I got plenty of stuff. I'm
My
not
God.
recording right now. I'm
Yeah,
not recording right
yeah.
now. I'm retired for the next couple months. So
Oh yeah, I'll be there.
I retire
Yeah.
every few months, come back,
True,
Yep.
true retire more than Brett Favre. It's fucking nuts.
No, it's true. It's true. It's true.
It be like that, man. I get it.
Known this dude 10 years. He done retired 10 times.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But this next one might be the last one. So
Hey, man.
I don't have much to say anymore, rap. That's why it took me a whole 9 months to come out with Comeback Trail. Everybody
I
know
get
how I
that.
work. I usually
Absolutely.
I was putting out shit like every 6 weeks at one point. I don't have it the same no more. It's not there. But
Yeah.
that's a whole different discussion. That's not yeah.
And like we said before, man, when it hits you, it hits you. It'll definitely hit us soon, and we'll hit you guys with some good content, some good music soon. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, Tony, I don't know if you want to jump in there and give your little pitch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Pigalo5 on Twitter. We're on Eclipse.theory on Instagram
Yes, sir.
and Threads, kinda,
Yes,
but I
sir.
don't even think we've posted on there
I'll be
but a
posting.
couple times.
I
Do you?
be threading the needle or whatever we call it there.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
you got that. That sounds terrible.
It's a
But
terrible name. We're not gonna push
it
the
is
podcast
really
longer.
bad.
It's okay.
But yeah, but we we on Twitter, we talk
Yes, sir.
shit, we talk games, we talk sports, all of that on Twitter.
Absolutely.
Just this is basically what Eclipse Theory is, man. It's just one big ass PSN party chat. Like we try to have a little bit of organization to it as far as topics and stuff, but we just want to sit down and just shoot the shit like homies kicking it.
Right. That's all it comes down to, man. So definitely make sure you follow us. Like Tony said, we're Eclipse Theory on Twitter, Eclipse.theory on Instagram. Make sure you like, subscribe, check us out on YouTube. We're a few episodes deep, but we want to make this a page and a podcast and a channel for you guys. The whole Eclipse Theory is the concept that things that get blocked out can shine the brightest. So we want to make sure that everything is shining over here. We want to give as much as spotlight to as many dope people as possible. So we'll definitely have to have you guys back on, man. This has been an excellent episode. I really had a good time. Thank you for being here, and thank you guys for watching. And until next time, man, keep gaming.